the intro, our very first one. I'm Alejandra, and this is my wonderful host, Jocelyn.
Hi. Yeah. Hi, I'm Jocelyn. Super excited to finally get this going. We've been talking about it for a very long time, and I'm glad that we can actually really start recording and getting our thoughts out there.
Yes. And it's so funny. I've been telling Jocelyn, a lot of my thoughts have been coming as I'm running. So one of my thoughts was like, wow, we're definitely one of those people who started a podcast during quarantine I was going to say, well, we got this idea before, but it kind of turned, I think it was because of quarantine that this idea happened. So it's a nice blessing.
Yeah, because I know that we kind of like joked about it because we met through our, Alejandra and I met through our cohort because we did our master's and multiple subject credential courses together. And we were in our master's project, and I remember like they gave us the option because of this whole COVID situation of how we could present our project. And that is when we started getting on one of the options was to record a podcast, and we were doing it. And it just, even when we were recording, it just seemed really awesome and natural. And It's something that we just kind of wanted to continue.
I'm excited. All right.
Yeah.
I think, should we start with our stories then?
Yeah.
I think a little background. Do you want to go first?
Yeah. Okay. So, I have always loved reading. And so books are kind of like my escape from the world. So I guess this is like why I'm really excited about this. I've always been a child who really like loved reading. And I guess like the one thing that really got me back was I kind of was grounded in fifth grade. My mom reminded me of this recently because I just got a fifth grade, I'm teaching at a middle school that has fifth grade.
So congratulations.
Like, oh, thanks. And in fifth grade, I got in trouble because I got my phone taken away because I was texting in class. Mm-hmm. And I had lied to my mom about it and said it was my first offense when it was actually like my third offense that had happened. And so my mom found out, she went and picked up my phone from the office, and it kind of like restarted my whole love for reading again. Mm-hmm. And that's when I really started like diving in back into like trying to read as much because I didn't have a phone. And then what really kind of like kicked off like was the kind of like the flame that really like was like, okay, like there's never a day that I could ever go without reading something, mm-hmm. was reading Harry Potter. I know that sounds super cheesy, but like Harry Potter was a world that was just, it's magical. Yeah, it's just magical. And J.K. Rowling does such a really good job of just like building these like in-depth characters, and like she's even gone beyond the books and like written mm-hmm. more about like the world. So it's just a beautiful thing. It's just beautiful that I wish was real.
And I'm saying I love it as if you're gonna kind of hate me, the world might hate me. Good thing this is our first episode, so I don't know how many viewers we're gonna have, but I have not read one Harry Potter book, so I know I have to.
Okay, they're easy reads. Let me just tell you that. Don't be discouraged by like the fact that some of them are like 700 pages, but they're so easy. And once you get like, I don't know, like once you like pick one up, like it's hard for me to put down. I reread mine, I probably reread one like in order, probably every couple months, depending like if I need a break from like, and I just want to like go back and like escape to my first love. It's almost it's like almost like I go back to my first love. But as you can see, I have like a Harry Potter everything, and then I definitely have a Harry Potter tattoo. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I can spend an entire podcast talking about those books. But yeah, that was kind of like what really got me going. And so ever since then, I've kind of really loved reading. I read a little bit of everything. I'll go from romance to educational books to anything like from fantasy to like serial killer stuff. I don't know. It's just like anything. And I never really knew. I knew like going into teaching, like I would love for my students to like love the books that I would mm-hmm. introduce to them. So I always knew that. But I didn't know really like kind of how to utilize my passion for reading. Yeah. It wasn't until my undergrad. I had this professor, and I'm going to give him a little shout out. His name is Professor Ashman. He was super passionate, and he always taught us about advocating for our students. And he introduced us into this world of social justice. Mm-hmm. And it was like this light bulb flicked inside my head. And I was like, this is why I went to teaching. Like teaching, it's like having classrooms that are meant for students to learn about things that other people may think is like, they don't understand. And it's like, they really do understand that. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And we've seen it. I mean, our research, you'll hear about our research later, but our research shows it. And long story short, fell in love with social justice. And when I was looking for an undergrad, I was looking for a program that did a master's in 1 year with your credential. And then one of my friends told me about San Jose State. And when I looked at their website and like what their program was about, they had a huge emphasis on social justice. And it was like that light bulb literally turned into a flash. Yeah, turned into a flashlight that was like guiding my path, being like this way. Anyway, so then I got there and we're thinking about like what to do with a master's project and all the stuff. And that is how I ended up here and how I met Alejandra. And this is where our paths have crossed. And our other group member for my master's project who did not want to do the podcast, but we owe her a lot. Her name was Sarah, and
we definitely got permission. We asked her if it was okay. I don't want to think that we left her out. We definitely wanted her here, and she will hopefully one day maybe do a guest appearance, or I know she's definitely going to want to suggest books for us to talk about on here. So I'm definitely excited, and you guys were great teammates.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. Like, because it's like, even to this day, like she just sent us books last week and can't wait to like kind of bring those on the show. But yeah, no, that's how we kind of like use this mutual love for social justice and books, this like my love for books, and how we all have loves for books. And that's how our podcast ended up happening. So then I'm here now, and then Alejandra, take it away.
All right, so I guess I'll start from my beginning as well. So just like Jocelyn was saying, like I've loved books. I love books. I think they're, like you were saying, like they're just this great escape. I don't know, you can enter any world you want, you know, like you were saying, there's so many different genres from fantasy to serial killers to fiction, nonfiction, and everything in between. And just growing up, like I remember like my parents always saying like, oh, like we'll get you whatever book, you know, over some toy or anything, but books were always a guaranteed yes. So I think I just like kept reading and I'd enter these worlds and I just loved them. And I think like when I was thinking back, I was like, I don't know if I had a series like Harry Potter, but I definitely loved the like young adult books, the Sarah Dessen. I hope that's like, she just had so many of these like cliche love stories that I just loved reading as a teenager in high school. To now, like I fell in love with The Girl on the Train, which ended up being a movie. Of course, the book is 100 times better than the movie, so please read the book.
It always is.
And now I'm trying to finish Michelle Obama's book. I've been telling everybody for like the past 2 years, like I'm working on it, but then I got into the program and now I'm trying to work and do this and that, and I wish there was more time to read. So I'm hoping this podcast gives me some like, oh, like this is me working by reading books, you know. But then I became a teacher, and when I started having my own classroom, I kind of just saw that there wasn't a lot of books that were given to us, really. I always joke about how somebody asked me like, oh, when are we getting our leveled library? And I'm just like, never. When we make it, I don't know. So I started collecting my own books. And at this point, I kind of regret, like I was just getting books to get books almost because I had no books. And then I finally went to San Jose State to get my credential. Someone had recommended it because I'm a bilingual teacher and I heard they have a really great bilingual program. And then I think it was in, is it 108, our class where the book class, I'm like, I don't remember the names.
Yeah, so we just had two different professors.
You had Jolyn, who ended up being our master's advisor, and I had Allison Briseño. And she was just amazing. And I think that's when I realized the importance of me having to like actually look at the books and see who these characters are. Like, do I want these characters to be role models for my students? So now I definitely kind of look at the books with a closer lens on like, is this something that I want in my classroom? Like, what impact is this going to have? And then that kind of leads to our master's project. I was jumping around from group to group because I felt like I couldn't find the group or the project that I was passionate about. And we actually had a project where we had to bring in, I believe it was diverse books. We had to bring in like 6 books to share with the class. And then I think Jocelyn and Sarah were sitting near me and we were just talking about it. And then I was like, oh, like we all love books. Like, what? And then I found out that they were working on like, for their master's, it was going to involve literature. And I was like, oh, that's the group for me, you know? I felt like so passionate about it right away. I started like just researching everything I could. And like, you can tell the difference when you're passionate about something as opposed to when you're not passionate. So then, yeah, we ended up becoming group mates.
Oh, wait. You have to say the story of the name. This is how our
I
name
know, I was
started.
thinking about it, but I was like, that's not even our name, really.
It's not, but I think we should still include
okay.
it about.
So like I was saying, I was jumping from group to group, and then I kind of just told everybody, like I kind of told a group I was going to work with them, and then I found Jocelyn and Sarah, and I was like, oh, all right, that's it. I'm jumping ship. Like, this is the book. I mean, this is the group that I want to work with. And then we ended up calling ourselves Bookship because I jumped ship and I jumped the ship to the books. And I loved it. And like, it was just great. Like our chat group was called the Bookship. Like we just loved it. And it carried on throughout the whole semester. And then when it came time to naming our podcast, we were like, obviously the podcast has to be named Bookship. And we got a little unlucky with social media because it was taken.
Yeah, but it's okay because we ended up with the book boat. And I think that's just as cool because if you look at the artwork.
Oh, I love it. And it's funny, I was thinking, oh, it kind of makes more sense now. It's like BB, you know? Mm-hmm. But yeah, so we decided to go with book boat. You know, it's similar to ship, boat. It worked out. And then once it came time to create the podcast, I kind of asked Jocelyn, like, hey, I don't know about you. I'm not a great artist. I am not good at it all. It's not my thing. But I know my niece is amazing at it. Like, let me have this. Let me ask her if she'll do it. I sent her kind of the idea of what we wanted. Our name was Book Boat, so obviously we were going to want something with books and something that kind of represented a boat. And hopefully as you're watching this, wherever you're watching it, you're able to see our podcast cover art. It's amazing. I love it. I want it on everywhere, like on everything, everywhere, mugs, shirts. Like if we make it big, this is going to be our merch.
Yeah. I mean, your niece did a really good job. And if you're watching this or if you're on our Instagram and you look at the pictures, they really kind of capture who we are. And I thought it was really cute. I just love the artwork to it. So
yes, I love it. So thank you to my niece, Celine. I hope this isn't embarrassing. I hope I'm not embarrassing you, but you are an amazing artist. I totally, totally appreciate it. Once we hit it big, I'm going to send you a nice paycheck, hopefully.
So I guess now that we've kind of given our backstories, it's one thing is where is this podcast going? And I know probably the people listening who right now are probably just going to be our closest friends, yes. In our cohort, and maybe a couple of professors out there. Hopefully. You're probably wondering, like, what do we really want to do with this? And I think we're kind of hoping that this podcast is more as a tool to help educators, to help parents, because literature is everywhere. And like, even if we're going to a digital world, there's Kindles where you can put books on there, anything. And especially in our world right now with everything going on, with all these like big changes that are happening to our government, to our society, where groups that have been marginalized before are now stepping up, and the entire other communities are backing them up, which is amazing. It's glorious. We're in a revolution. Yeah. And it's a great time to be alive, and to get to experience this firsthand. And so we want to kind of use this podcast as a way to incorporate literature into helping younger generations navigate these difficult topics. And so then that's what kind of was the basis of our master's project as well. It was using children's literature as a way to create space for critical dialogue within the classroom. So it's having these books that talk about immigration, that talk about race, that talk about gender, that talk about homelessness, things that kids don't really learn about until they're older, until parents or teachers think, oh, you're old enough to learn it, but kids see it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And what better way to share it through like a kid's book? And sorry, I didn't want to cut you off, but I was just thinking like how you were saying, like, this is kind of a revolution. When you think back through history, like so many great stories are told, and we have all these great books to share, and why not share it to our students? I mean, these are kids' books, are meant to be for them, and it makes me so happy that I found somebody as passionate about this.
Yeah, so yeah, it's just been really great. Exactly, like find someone who is extremely passionate, and it makes me happy that there are I mean, look at our cohort. Our cohort was amazing, and I wish everyone can meet every student that was in there, because they were incredibly passionate, and they were just, I don't know, it just makes me happy to know that there's teachers that are going out into the field who are wanting to have these difficult conversations, who are going to help these younger generations navigate, know how to handle, know how to adapt, know how to change, know how to advocate for themselves. And it just, yeah. So that, before we get to it, yeah, it is
speaking
inspiring.
of our cohort, a few of them have started to add this Instagram, the book boat, and I have gotten a few requests of people wanting to be on episodes, and I was like, I need to check with Jocelyn, like this isn't just my thing, we're partners.
No,
you know.
I would love
they're
to
definitely
have,
excited.
yeah.
So if you're listening and you want to be a guest on our show, we would love it.
DM us. Yes. Please DM us. Like, I would, especially like knowing that all of them are going to be teachers too. I want to know how, like, I want to know how their classrooms are going, how they're doing, how they're navigating, how they're using literature. Like, no, this is, of course, I would want everybody on here. And I also want Jocelyn.
Jocelyn, if you're listening.
Jocelyn, if you're listening, we would love to have you as a guest speaker, and just you telling us about, because what you teach is basically how we want to run this podcast, and like make it more accessible for everybody out there to learn about how incredibly, like, I don't even know the word to use right now. I'm just so excited, but like how incredibly like wonderful literature is to classrooms, not just in the sense of like, oh, you're learning how to read, but your kids are learning how to be themselves in this world. And so, Jocelyn, if you want to be a part of this, we're ready for you. We would love you.
But I think this is going to be like the one podcast where we're not really talking about the books. I mean, we're talking about our love for the books, but I think we should also, we've kind of been jumping around, but I think we should mention the books that we used in our master's project and maybe explain a little bit. So Jocelyn, you gave the question. You do a way better job of stating our question. If you want to state it one more time.
So for our master's project, it was, what would happen if we use children's literature as a way to create space for critical dialogue in the classroom? So critical dialogue, meaning it's in the sense of like kids actually not just looking at the surface level of topics, but going in depth and being able to talk about race, especially like right now with the Black Lives Matters movement, that being able to have that space in a classroom where kids are comfortable talking about it and expressing their opinions, whether it's an opinion that goes with or without. It's like, we just wanted to give them that space to ask questions, to just not see it on the surface level, to find out information. Because I know that a lot of parents and teachers try to almost shield students away from that. So like, oh, I don't think they understand that, but they know, and it's, our research has showed that. So that was essentially our question. So one of the first books that we picked out was, and I have it right here.
Oh, not quite Snow White.
Yeah.
Oh, and this one, sorry, not to stop you again.
Go for it.
We had kind of, each week was a different theme, which we had race. I called it family life. I don't know if that's what we ended up picking, but like different family structures.
Yes.
And then we also covered immigration. And then within each topic, we picked 3 books. And in our group, Sarah was in a kindergarten classroom, Jocelyn in 3rd, and I was in 6th grade. So we kind of were with the mindset of like picking out books that were going to be I don't want to say appropriate, because I don't, like books that would interest all grade levels, and just kind of spark this interest. And then, so Not Quite Snow White was our first one.
And bringing it back to this idea of appropriateness, to us, we think every book is appropriate to bring the kids, but we were student teachers, so we try not to step on the toes of our mentor teachers. And so we did run into a couple issues with that. I remember that I was really scared bringing up to my mentor teachers about including books that included LGBTQ characters, and it was like openly, not like hidden or anything like that. And at first they were like, no, but then they both were like, no, these topics can be included in the classroom, and they actually helped me navigate that.
Yeah, I'm so glad it kind of came around, and it was almost nice that you kind of experienced both sides in a way, because we got to handle or deal with like the pushback, like what do we do with this, because it's something that's going to happen. It's very realistic, but I love that they changed their mind, and that it kind of just shows growth, and it kind of gives me hope that people are willing to, you know, maybe not on the first try, but the more we think about it, the more we sit on these ideas, that we see that kids need this. And it's things that are happening in real life. It's not like we're saying something completely crazy.
No, and exactly. And that's how my mentor teachers viewed it. It was in the sense of like, you know what, like they were all for it, and they looked up laws. And in the state of California, you can include LGBTQ plus, I guess, like topics in your classroom. But the problem is you have to teach it in like a historical sense.
Yeah.
And so
all these loopholes.
Yeah, all these loopholes. So we used that loophole, and one of the other books that we have, which I forgot to grab.
I might have it. I have a stack of our books.
And this is probably honestly one of my like really favorite ones.
Which one is it?
Pride.
Yes. I found it.
So love just the like dust cover on that. I love that.
Oh, by the way, sorry, for our podcast people who are just listening, we also recorded it because we love books and we want to be able to show them. Yes. So there's also a YouTube video that's going to be out, hopefully, if all goes well. So you can see the beautiful cover art, but we'll do our best at describing them as well.
Yeah, so this one was just like Pride, the story of Harvey Milk and the rainbow flag. And this is how we got away with talking about it in a historical sense, because we talked about Harvey Milk and how he was a politician and he was important to history. And so we were able to kind of bring that book in. So if any parents kind of pushed back on us, or we felt pushback from the district, we were allowed to teach this. And so it was kind of like this like winning moment for us.
Isn't it kind of crazy that we have to like, I'm just thinking like, we have to fight to teach like this is history. It's something that happened.
Yep. But think about it now, like what else have we left out of history? And it's it's like people are still fighting to be included in history. And it's crazy. It's crazy that years later we still have to fight for even basic rights.
Should we mention our other books? Should we start?
Yes.
Should we go in order? I think that
we can go in order.
So you start off with Not Quite Snow White, which I think is one of the first ones. I love it. And we talked about this before. We definitely want to do more in-depth talk. Maybe we're thinking of like each theme will be in its own episode, but we want to give the honor. These books are like a big part of what brought us together, and they definitely deserve to be mentioned. So Not Quite Snow White, I love it.
Yes.
Please read it. The next one for race is the Let's Talk About Race. I love this one. I love them all. That's gonna be a running theme.
I know we're really gonna have to spend a couple podcasts talking about them. But the Let's Talk About Race was kind of a really good one. Because it just brought up a lot of good things
and it's a little bit more different. I think it's almost, I don't want to say safer, but I think it's a good like stepping into the door type of thing.
Yeah.
As opposed to the next one that we picked, Something Happened in Our Town, which I have been recommending this book so much. I love this book. I am a big advocate for this book. Please read this book. Have this book in your classroom.
No, seriously, and especially with everything that's going on, just a little flip about this book, but this book deals with a Black kid was killed by a cop, which is what's going on in our world today, unfortunately. And this deals with like two different students who are kind of dealing with the aftermath of hearing this story, and they both kind of almost team up together, and they like, I don't know, it's beautiful. I don't want to give it away.
But what I was going to say, what I really liked about this book is it could definitely be a topic some people might want, like tiptoe around. And the good thing is this book had such great resources in the back. So please check it out. All right, our next theme was family life, as I called it.
No, it was immigration.
Oh, it was immigration. Yeah. Sorry. Yes.
And we should also say that we didn't get to do our full project because of COVID and school shut down. So we didn't get to do all of these books in the class, but we will in our future classrooms. So you'll hear about those stories.
What did we start with? One Green Apple, I think.
One Green Apple. I did not grab mine.
I loved it. I have it here. The artwork is beautiful. A really great story. I feel like this book is so special to me. Like I had the conversations we had because of this book, which I will get into when we get to this episode one day. I loved it.
The next one was
Was it
This
from?
one.
Yes. La Frontera?
Yeah, La Frontera. Yeah, this one's great for two reasons that I really loved. Is it has both the Spanish and the English. So
Which
that was
great for all my bilingual classes.
And it's great for any classes because I always, like, when I was a child, I love learning languages. And so it's like, if I would have seen this as a child and be like, oh, I mean, I already know Spanish, but if I didn't, and I'd be like, oh, this is awesome. Like you can see that comparison. Yeah.
So great book.
Yes. And this actually talks about like a child immigrating and crossing the border with his grandpa.
It is a true story, right? I think it is. Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a true story, but it's like,
I think so, because I think on the back, I like yes. If you look at the back, you'll see some photographs of one of the authors, which is great. I loved it. Our third book is From North to South.
Oh, this one was sad.
Yes, and but also it's
beautiful. Yeah.
Yes, it's true. It's true, and like we were saying, like these stories don't always have happy endings. I don't want to ruin it either.
Yeah, but yes. It's a great story, but it is kind of like another side of immigration. I do definitely recommend reading this. We'll discuss this more.
Yes. See, isn't it hard? That's why I was like, we have to get through this or else this episode will be like 3 hours long.
We're going to tell you, like, seriously, like 20 minutes of each book.
Yes. So then the last one was The Family.
Oh, I think we started with Pride, the story of Harvey Milk. So we kind of briefly mentioned that. Yes, we started the historical sense, and we were planning. We didn't get to, but we were planning on doing this book as kind of like the history of different family dynamics, so that we can kind of push it into the school system without it or push it into our classrooms without parents feeling so much of like. So.
And I think also because we kind of wanted, obviously we could have gone on like just different whole family structures, but I think we kind of pushed it together with like different family structures and LGBTQT. So we kind of had to morph it into one because we didn't want our project was kind of on a time crunch because we had a lot of things we were trying to accomplish. So yes. And then what was our next? I can't remember which one was next.
Oh, I think A Family is a Family, which, by the way, I'm going to mention this later on as one of my favorite books.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it's it's honestly, like, this book is very heartwarming for me. It's called A Family is a Family is a Family, and it just brings in so many different family dynamics. And then I was reading this and I just connected very well with this book because like who I call my dad is my stepdad. And I have to explain that to people like, oh, I call him my dad and he is my dad. But he's technically my stepdad. And it's just like these like dynamics, like I could see this, like the mixed families, all of that. And it's my family. And so I really, really like this. This was a very heartwarming book for me. And it's super cute. And it's a good way to, we'll explain it later when I talk about my favorite books because
See, isn't it hard?
It's so hard because I want to tell you how wonderful this book is and how I would use it in the class, but it's coming. Those episodes are coming. Yes.
Yes. So then our last one is Still a Family.
Yeah.
I'm just bummed, like looking at these books, like looking at the first set of books, it's just like, I remember all these conversations I had with the students. And then I'm just like, man, like the conversations we could have had with our students with these, but we're going to have them. And I can't wait to talk about them in future episodes. It's exciting.
A little synopsis. Still a Family is a book about homelessness in a different sense. Like it's not, I think that a lot of the times that when we do see books about homelessness, we see these broken individuals who are by themselves or anything. But what if it's
or just like a negative image?
Yeah, a negative. And I don't like that because there's one thing is, I guess like my family's always like, don't judge people. And so for me to like the negative image that we just constantly put on homeless individuals is just, it's sad because we don't know the type of life that they're living.
Exactly,
and I mean, I could tell you stories of how many times I used to be a server and I've served people who chose to be homeless because they didn't want to like live in a home or have their like social construct. I don't know if that's the word. They don't want that, like that always having to go home and there was like issues with that. So they chose and they were some of the happiest people I've ever met in my life. So it's like, yeah, we'll have to have a conversation about how to bring that and navigate that in a classroom. Yeah.
Because I think it's something that, I don't want to say it's forgotten, but like in the past, I've definitely had students who, maybe they didn't have their own home. They were living like with other families, or they were staying in a car for a while. And it's just like, you don't know how to really go about this. And I think the story does such a nice job of like telling the story and not making it negative.
Yes.
So I'm really excited to talk about that in a future episode.
Yeah, no, it's going to be great. So I think we decided to kind of keep this episode a little short, just because it was our intro one. Yes. But I kind of want to give you a preview of like what's coming next, and kind of more of a like, so you have things to look forward. So we're planning on doing our podcast, and sometimes we're planning on breaking it down. Like, okay, next week we're going to talk about race and what books we find are really good for having these discussions about race in classroom. And other times we're going to have questions where you can submit questions to us and we answer them as truthfully as we can. We'll do our research. We'll try to get you the answers that you need and want. Then we want to have guest speakers, like we've already mentioned, Jocelyn, and other people who want to come on here and kind of talk about.
So please let us know.
Yes, or maybe you can come. I know that you said some people from our class want to come. Yeah. They want to come in and kind of talk about their master's project. I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Oh no, that's exciting.
The world needs to know we all kind of like worked our butts off in the research we did.
Yeah.
And so then we kind of want to do a little bit of that. We want to do like our favorite book of the month. Yeah, where we kind of talk about that, because we have quite a few books. We want to do like what books we're planning on reading the first week of school, depending on the grade. No matter what, like if I am teaching 7th grade, I am still going to bring out a picture book and be like, guess what?
Which I went to a training this way, and they definitely encourage picture books in the older grades as well. So that kind of made me really excited, because I love picture books.
And I think it's a lot of teachers like, oh, they're in 7th grade, they don't need to read picture books, but there's so much good stuff in pictures.
It's probably going to be way more exciting.
Yes. And as they get older, then the older kids can make more of the inferences just looking by pictures and be like, oh, like I get that now. And so it's, so we're going to be talking about that.
That's like a whole other episode we could do. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Side note, we have like this Google Doc. I don't know if anyone's going to care, hopefully, where we just are like throwing out our ideas, because I was like, I'm so sorry, I just got this other idea. And I'm like, I have to create something where I'm not texting Jocelyn every
but it's great, because I went on there and checked the other day, and you had women in science, and I literally I was like, I have so many books, and one of them.
I'm gonna say that because I really want this book, and if we do that episode, I'm like, oh, this is my excuse to buy the book and like read it and see if it fits if I love it enough to share it on here. Yeah. So that, oh my gosh, I'm gonna spend so much money on books.
No, I know. Alejandra has her Amazon classroom book wish list on her profile, so if you guys want to go check that out.
Yes,
contribute. We should probably put ours on our on the book boat, just because it's like, we teachers, I mean, we don't make a lot of money.
I mean, it's just like a quick shout out. If you want us to review a certain book, we definitely don't mind if you send it to us. We will gladly accept all books.
No, it's just we just want to have these amazing classrooms where, I mean, I can think about back to the classroom libraries that I got to experience. Never once did I see characters that were Hispanic.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like I saw mostly characters who were white, and
a lot of animals. Don't forget.
I love animals, but at the same time, like,
we want to see ourselves in the book.
Yes. And there's this, I can't think of the TED Talk right now. Or I don't know if it's a TED Talk, but it's like The Power of a Story. Oh, I need to find it. But it's this woman who's talking, and she's talking about how she never saw herself in any of the books. And she talks about the power of a story, which I'll mention later. And I'm going to find the TED Talk, because it is a very famous one, and I just can't think of it up top of my head. I mean, I'm so nervous.
No, I think we did good. Okay, I'm gonna do the hard part of probably cutting this off soon. We're around 36 minutes before we edit. But this was exciting. I felt like, I was definitely nervous, so please don't judge us again. We just love books, you guys.
Yeah, and if you have books you want to recommend that you're using in your classroom, like, feel free, DM us. Send us your questions. Send us anything you want.
Yes. Oh, we didn't say the Instagram. So the Instagram is at the book boat, I believe.
Yeah. It's the underscore book boat. So it's the_bookboat. And on there, you we'll be posting kind of like the videos, a little short clips of the videos of us actually speaking. We'll also be posting about upcoming episodes, links to things. So maybe like links to the podcast, links to book lists, anything. Maybe we'll link a Google Doc that you can add topics for us to kind of go over.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
So please, oh man, I've like listened to so many podcasts where they're like, I don't know, can you like on a podcast? Well, you can like the video, subscribe, leave a review, let us know what worked. Was it too long? Do you want it longer? What you want us to talk about, leave comments, leave reviews, let us know how we can do this better. But please subscribe if you're passionate about books, if you believe in us that we're going to succeed in this, because this is our passion.
Yeah, so we look forward to recording more, and I guess we'll see you next time.
Yes, thank you. All right, bye.
Bye.